we're going to get started with a welcome ritual that I would do with students. So this is a crystal singing bowl, and what I would do is I would ask students to find their way to their mindful bodies, and I'll do that with you as well. So feel your feet on the floor and notice where you're sitting. Make your back straight and shoulders back and down from your ears. Gentle lift to the chin. Imaginary string pulling you up to the ceiling. Take a deep breath and just bring your shoulders down even more. And if you would like, it's always an invitation. If you'd like to close your eyes, you may. If you'd rather not, that's cool. Even if you'd like to close them halfway and look a little bit in front of you, whatever feels good to you today. If you want to put your hand on your belly just to notice your breath, or maybe hand on heart, it's up to you. But we're going to listen to the singing bowl, and when you stop hearing the sound, then if your eyes are closed, gently open your eyes and raise your hand. So wait for the sound. Very gently place your hand on your heart. Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. Breathing in, letting go. One more time. And just noticing what that did for your brain, for your body. Maybe a little bit more woken up, maybe a little bit more relaxed in this new setting. From that, then I get out my Hoberman sphere, and I'll do this just like I do with students. Would someone volunteer to do the Hoberman sphere for me? And how it works is, as the person who opens the ball, we breathe in, and as we bring it back together, then we exhale. So you guide us in 5 deep breaths. Okay, thank you, Colette. Who will be a counter for Colette? Come on up. Thank you. So, Meredith, after Colette completes 1 breath, then you'll say 1, and we'll get to 5 deep breaths. So, flashlights of attention on Colette. If you don't have a breathing ball and would like to use your finger breathing technique, you put your fingers together and then you expand as Colette does the breathing ball. You could do that, or you could do peaks and valleys, which is you kind of trace your hands as the breath, as she does 1 breath. Inhalation, then exhaling, bring it down. And peaks and valleys, kind of like life is just we have ups and downs, but the sad times don't last forever. So you could do it like that. It's up to you. So flashlights of attention. When you feel like everyone is looking at you, Colette, you can go for it. One. 2. 3. 4. 5. Beautiful job, Colette. I want to acknowledge how calm you are with doing this breathing ball. Have you ever done this before? Nice job. Keep on staying right there. And Meredith, what a nice job you did staying grounded and being alongside your friend and guiding us along. Thank you. Other compliments for these two friends. What did you like about what they did?
A lot of volunteering.
So you could say thank you to Fabiola. Thank you. So good role modeling, Colette. You say thank you too.
Thank you.
Any other compliments? How does it feel to get some compliments from your colleagues?
Oh, it builds you up. Makes you feel good.
Makes you feel good. How did it feel for you to give a compliment? Uh-huh. Yeah.
Maybe a little awkward.
Uh-huh. That's honest. And it's awkward for kids too. But we do it in a fairly low risk way. Like, I like how she paced the breathing, and you could do something really specific about this rather than who they are to begin with. And then how was it to be in a space, Bill, where people are saying positive things to each other?
It's just really calming.
Yeah. Okay. Beautiful job. Nice. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
So it's exactly how I do it with students, and they don't get tired of it ever. From kindergarten through 6th grade, they love that. It's such a low risk way to practice giving compliments and providing an atmosphere where it's safe to practice these things. Any questions or feedback around that activity, the welcoming ritual, and guiding through one breathing strategy? Okay. So we're going to be talking about mindfulness, yoga, tapping tools to empower students and yourself. Because when I asked Matt Friel what you guys needed, he said you wanted tools. And so I want to help with that. So I was Washington School Counselor of the Year. And let's see if this works this time. So this is a little video about why or what I did.
My name is Christy and Anana. I'm a school counselor at Swivl Elementary, and I'm the Washington School Counselor of the Year candidate. So I was educated in Michigan to be a special education teacher. My first job was in Hawaii at Campbell High School in Eva Beach. And through that connection, I met my husband, who is Native Hawaiian, and he works as an engineer in Washington State. I knew from my teaching position that students sought me out for more than just math and science. They were telling me their stories, and I wanted to know more about how to help them. I went to grad school in Seattle, got an elementary school counseling job in a small town. Now I'm at Tulalip and Quilceda Elementary, located on the Tulalip Indian Reservation. We serve about 78% Native American students. It's a beautiful community, and there have been challenges. I've been to more funerals than I'd like to count. I've walked alongside families in extreme situations, but here there's great resilience. And I've learned from families and sought non-traditional strategies to address stress and trauma, the everyday stuff and the deep pain rooted in generations. We've developed strategies to help us feel better. And together at my school, we have done much. Yoga, mindfulness, tapping, also known as EFT, and after a particularly difficult time, a school shooting that involved some of my former students who were at the high school. And then that impacts siblings and cousins at my school. We have been given more strategies, like rainbow dance, using music therapy techniques to build attunement and attachment, and EMDR, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, addressing the trauma directly so it doesn't trip them up later in life. In my job, I'm backed by parents, community, teachers, liaisons, advocates, other counselors, principal, district leaders, and my own family. And together we have done much to build relationships, teach self-regulation so that students feel confident and can go on to be successful, kind people. And I feel blessed to be in Washington State, where we have a valuable resource of compassionate schools, a model for trauma-informed care that is free and helps educators understand how trauma impacts learning and the brain. And I'm proud to be part of this amazing profession, where you build equity for all students, access to opportunities. Some days I can't believe I get to do yoga with kids and teach students how to regulate their emotions with mindfulness or EFT, rainbow dance. Other days are harder, and there have been rough days. I want people to be inspired by my work. There's great hope. School counselors are in a unique position as teacher leaders, and we can guide teachers on how to be curious about children's behavior. We can role model keeping our own body calm in the midst of a child's storm of dysregulation. By being present, we teach the child resilience. We can also role model self-care, where we step back, ground ourselves in the moment, take a deep breath, and say within, it's not about me.
All right. Well, I'd like to hear from you. If you could introduce yourself and what your role is and what level you're working at, that would be great. Pete, you want to get us started?
Sure. I'm Pete Kavanaugh. I teach here at the high school. I'm also a coach.
Very cool.
Jessica Namsager, I'm a school nurse at the elementary and middle school.
I'm Fabiola Hernandez, and I'm the Spanish middle school teacher.
Jessica Tabak. I am a secretary at the lower elementary, so we have kindergarten through second.
I'm Kim Woods, and I am a middle school counselor in the Linn-Mar district.
I'm Brianne Reynolds, and I teach ELL at the Linn-Mar district.
I'm Casey, and I'm the middle school art teacher here in Midbury.
I'm Carrie. I work at the Midbury Middle School in Family and Consumer Science.
I'm Sarah, and I'm high school family and consumer sciences here.
I'm Meredith, and I'm from English Valley's School District, and I teach third grade.
Kim, and I teach 5th grade at the middle school.
Melissa, I teach reading recovery and Title I at the elementary here.
I'm Caitlin, and I teach at West here in London.
I'm Bill, and I'm the principal at Midbury West.
I'm Colette, and I teach high school choir.
Very cool. Nice. And you've given up a day of summer, so that's huge. I appreciate that. And I want this to be fruitful for everyone. So I promise you, and I promise all students, that you will be physically and emotionally safe in this space, that there's a commitment to this process, that we're going to work hard in the next hour or so. That's a respect. I have respect for everyone's position here, and I appreciate you being here. There's a reason why we're doing this. We want to always improve so we can serve students well. And this is not just me talking. I want to hear lots from you, so I want you to offer feedback throughout this presentation. Our goals for today, I want to talk about the 3 pillars of self-care. So I'll tell you what those are. Frank has talked about them previously. They are foundational. So foundational self-care is making sure you get enough nutrition, hydration, and sleep. And you've seen those first-year teachers who they don't eat, they're copying or doing other things, and then by Friday they're looking pretty haggard. So we want to look out for our friends and making sure that they attend to their nutritional needs, that they're getting enough to drink, that they're not isolating, they're not just, closing the door and not accessing their resources of colleagues. So aside from the foundational, the next pillar of self-care is coping skills, which is kind of what we think about when we say self-care. So that's going to the gym, going outside, hiking, spending time with family, getting your massage, your facial, whatever it is that makes you feel pampered and good, and going out with family and friends. So that's the coping skills, and those become non-negotiables. Like for me, my non-negotiable is every day I have to take a walk, rain or shine, and because that helps me feel better for the afternoon. Then the last pillar of self-care is your acute self-care plan. So that's what you do in that moment when a kid is underneath their desk, refusing to come out, or you have an appointment with the principal, or you have to have a difficult conversation with a parent. What are you going to do in that moment to preserve yourself so your downstream health is good? It's because we want everyone to have nice, long, healthy careers and not get burned out. All right. And so we're going to practice some of those acute self-care plans so that you are prepared for the fall. We're going to practice some mindfulness, yoga, and tapping. And the ultimate goal is resiliency for you guys especially. But we can do things. I'm going to teach you how I teach to kids but it's synergistic. You're getting it too. And it's in sports too. Like I teach them that the Seahawks do with Pete Carroll, they do yoga and mindfulness twice a week. And if you saw the Olympics, the last Olympics, they were doing tapping before the race. They were just like getting into their zone, and that's helpful. So self-care is an ethical obligation for those who you care for. You have to do it. If you love your students, you love your family, you've got to do it. And I know you're doing the best you can. And it's nice to feel that from everyone. Like, you know that everyone's doing the best that they can, and for yourself, that you are doing the best you can. I used to put this video at the very end, and I realized I really want you to know what self-care means, what it means to really love yourself. So enjoy this beautiful video.
Yeah, I guess the short of it is, how do I learn how to love myself? I've had problems with that my whole life.
Okay, how to love yourself? Well, I'll give you a couple of tips.
Yeah.
Justin, who else have you got to love? Who's more important to love than Justin?
Nobody.
Hey, isn't that funny? So how do you do it? You wake up in the morning just like I do, and you look in the mirror and you say, "Damn, you're cool. You're the only person I really know for sure can love me whenever I want to be loved. You're the only person that can wipe my ass. You're the only person that can choose good food for me. And you're the only person that will always be in the gym with me. You're the only person that gives me an opportunity to look out at the world and see the beauty of the world and see how amazing creation is. You're the only person that lays with me under the stars and sees exactly what I see. The gift of life is a miracle. Yogananda says there are 60 billion souls waiting for bodies, and to have one is the greatest gift in the universe. My advice to you is just play more. Stop worrying about other people's opinion. Remember, opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one. All that really matters is how you feel. So if you can just enjoy your day, think of the things that you enjoy doing, and give yourself permission to do that, and just really become your own best friend. And I treat Paul like Paul's best friend, and I take care of Paul the way I want to take care of my best friend or my wife or someone that I really love. And when you just give yourself permission to be honest about your feelings and express those, you know, if you're curious about what God is, well then meditate on it. Ask big questions. If you're curious about what it would be like to play some music, then go to a guitar shop and take a couple of lessons. Have fun. The secret to love is having fun. If it's not fun, then it's probably not a very high form of love. And in a few minutes on the radio, my best advice is that. Just start allowing yourself the freedom to have fun. And I would recommend you look at yourself in the mirror every morning and just relax and look right into your eyes and say, "I love you, buddy. I love you. I really love you. I'm so glad to have you here. I'm so grateful to be able to share this experience of life with you. It's so much fun to brush your teeth, comb your hair. As a matter of fact, I'm going to love you so much that it's inevitable that other people are going to feel how much love we have for each other, me and you. and they're going to want to participate in our private little party. And then you'll see people can't resist you when you love you because they know that you're safe to be around because you're loving.
Justin, what you think about that? Yeah, that's really good. You got a follow-up question to follow on? I guess, how can I tie that with purpose?
What greater purpose is there than enjoying life? You know what the purpose of life is?
That's not.
To live. The purpose of life is to live. The universe wants to experience what it's like to be Justin. Do you realize that there will never, ever be another Justin with your fingerprints, your eyes, your smile, your way of seeing things, your way of breathing, your way of loving? You're the only one. This universe has trillions of stars, galaxies beyond galaxies. It's got no end to it. And you are the only one ever. There will never be another one of you. The universe never duplicates anything. It's a novelty generator. There is so much joy to be had by just realizing how fortunate we are to be able to watch the birds fly, to be able to see the grass grow, and just to watch the sun go up and down. Spend some time each morning, anytime you can, watch the sun go up and watch the sun go down. And the majesty of it is phenomenal. Really just spend some time being honest about how mysterious and how miraculous it is that you're here to have this opportunity. And think of all the people that wasted away, torturing themselves and screwed up relationships and doing jobs they don't want to do, being controlled by parents that have weird ideas in their head. To the degree that you can just dance and enjoy being you, that is love, my friend.
Thank you.
You see, how'd you like my hug?
No, very good.
Hey, Justin.
Yeah.
I love you, buddy.
I love you too. Thank you.
Hang in there, buddy. I'm with you all the way.
So I'm hoping that gave you some ideas of things that you can start to do while you're still on summer break, that you could develop habits to incorporate into your self-care. Any feedback on that video? Always glean something new every time I see it. I was thinking as Frank was talking this morning, how just on the radio, without any eye contact or anything, he created this safety. And he made Justin feel so safe, he said, "I love you" back. But to do that with voice, with guiding words that rang true for him. There was a practice that he talked about where you look in your eyes and you in a mirror and say, "I love you," and say your name too. Like, Christy, I love you. I really, really love you. And that's a practice, I don't know if you've heard of Louise Hay. She's one of the pretty big person that started the self-help movement. But I discovered that you can take a dry erase marker and you can write on mirror and it'll just wipe off. So I did that on my daughter's mirror. I wrote, "Isabel, I love you. I really, really love you." And I do, of course. But I want her to start saying that to herself. So every time she looks in the mirror to brush her teeth and wash her hands, I want her to say that to herself, "Isabel, I love you. I really, really love you." And I promise if you do that 30 days in a row, you're going to feel much different. And someone asked me in the last class, well, what if you don't feel that way? Nobody feels that way. Like, we are conditioned to not feel that way. You go look at the magazines and everything. But we need to start doing that. And we do that not just for ourselves, but for our families and the people under us that are looking up to us. We have to start saying those things until it feels okay, not so uncomfortable. Every time you do it, it feels better and better. It's a practice. So one self-care thing that I do with people is I do it with teachers. And so I have a self-care mindfulness group that we would meet. And we had 20 people this year. It was really a great way to begin the school day. I put this up here. These are common reactions to stress and trauma. So the reaction is in bold, and then the classroom manifestation is in italics. So kids that have experienced stress or trauma tend to have nightmares, trouble sleeping. So how you might see in the classroom or in the office is kids are going to be sleepy in class. Kids think about it all the time. They might have a hard time concentrating, or they may not want to talk about it or think about it, and so they're doing other things to distract themselves from that event of thinking about it. They might avoid places, people, or things that make you think about it. So that's when Frank was talking about this thing that kids are doing that doesn't make any kind of sense. That's when you get curious and compassionate, because it could be a stress or trauma reaction. Feeling scared for no reason. So feeling crazy or out of control, not being able to remember parts of what happened, having trouble concentrating at school or at home, being on guard. So the kid that doesn't want to have their back facing the door, they want to be here so they can see the door. And so just being flexible about that if you can. Jumping when there's a loud noise. I still am fighting with my principal about why we have to have emergency drills where no one knows about it. Like he doesn't believe me that really it triggers lots of kids. And I just tell him we're just trying to practice getting in line quietly and doing that. I get that, but why do we have to make it like so jolting? Anyway, it's a fight that I'm still having. Feeling anger, feeling ashamed, that poor eye contact, feeling guilty, that negative self-talk, feeling sadness, grief, loss, being clingy, feeling bad about themselves, and going to the nurse all the time. So how do we mediate that? I like to start off with some breathing and mindfulness strategies. So we're going to practice a little bit now, and then I'm going to show you a few videos of me teaching it to little ones. Cool? Okay, so we did the Hoberman sphere. That's that guy. Square breathing. So square breathing, you start off, and I'd like everyone to participate. It will get us out of our honk shoe, our comatose of beautiful mashed potatoes. Palms up. And as you breathe in, lift up your hands. Then flip your hands and hold your breath. Exhale. Hold. Breathe in. Hold. Exhale. Hold once without any talking. So it's something that you can, once the kids know about it, then you can have them lead the breathing exercise, maybe as a transition activity when they're getting into art class or back from recess. Next is rocket ship breath, which is really fun to do with little ones when they're very angry. So you put your hands together and you rub your hands together, making them nice and warm. And then you stop and you feel the vibrations, yes? Then you breathe in. And as you exhale, you sound like a rocket ship. You go shh. And then maybe they feel angry. So put all of your angry feelings into your hands as you rub, 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 rub. Stop. Breathe in. Let go of those angry feelings. Go shh. Or maybe you're worried. Maybe you have an upset stomach. You're feeling kind of nervous about starting the day. Stop. Breathe in. Know you're not alone. And just let it go. Nice job. The 4-7-8 breath is offered to us by Dr. Andrew Weil in his book Spontaneous Happiness. It can also be helpful for getting to sleep. If they struggle with getting to sleep, I like to teach this one right before testing because the days get longer and they have trouble sleeping just as we're about ready to do state testing. So I teach this one, and how it works is, I'll just tell you this one. It's just breathing in for a count of 4, holding the breath for a count of 7, exhale for 8, and do that for 5 breath cycles. I like to lead that one because kids, they stop counting at 5 or 6, and so the 7 is like, we're still holding our breath. So it's breathing in for 4, hold, exhale, and do that for 5 breath cycles, and you end up getting much more relaxed. Alternate nostril breath. This one I teach to adults. I don't teach it so much to kids unless I really know them. But I want to teach this to you because it helps to get both sides of your brain engaged. So I have to take off my glasses for this one. So I'd like you to do it with me. You have to take your left hand. I have to use my left hand too. And you put your index finger and your middle finger between your eyebrows, freeing up your thumb and your ring finger. Very gently with your thumb, close your left nostril and breathe in through your right nostril. And then close your right nostril with your ring finger and letting go of the thumb. Exhale out the left nostril. Breathe in through the left nostril. Close with your thumb, letting go of your ring finger. Exhale out the right. That's 1 breath cycle. We're going to do 5. Breathe in through the right. Gently close. Exhale out the left. Breathe in through the left. Gently close. Exhale out the right. Breathe in through the right. Gently close. Exhale out the left. Breathe in through the left. Gently close. Exhale out the right. Breathe in. Close. Exhale out the left. Breathe in. Gently close. Exhale. 1 more. Breathe in through the right. Gently close. Exhale out the left. Breathe in. Gently close. Exhale out the right. And then remove your hand and breathe normally, noticing the subtle and not so subtle differences within your posture, within your breath. And that one can be a little bit irritating, especially if you have some congestion issues, because maybe you didn't realize that you couldn't breathe out of one of your nostrils at the time until we just did that. But doing this can have long-lasting effects. If you did struggle with some sinus issues, you might find them clearing out the next couple days. So alternate nostril breath. Now I'd like to show you what it looks like doing this with little ones. So 550 kids in an assembly. It's pretty amazing for 550 kids to get quiet and do the same thing. Not the normal assembly. So one way that a teacher was able to get the calming down strategies, the breathing strategies ready for kids is to take pictures of the kids doing them and have them write down some of the instructions. And this is located in the calm zone. Every classroom has a calm zone. And so that's what they did every year. I also created some breathing cards, and I'll probably give these to Kristen so she can know what to do with them. But I also have a set if you want to take pictures of them, you're welcome to. But they're the instructions of the calm down breathing strategies. And so everyone has them, every classroom, so that we're all have the same vocabulary. And kids can lead it, not just me as school counselor. I come in once a week, but they need to do it more than once a week. So other strategies that we've incorporated in our school, rainbow dance has been a pretty amazing strategy, building attunement, and it's using a fun parachute and songs that are very repetitive and predictable. And yoga, so doing things together, movement. So what I'd like to do is, we've been sitting for a while, is I'd like to teach you this very easy chair yoga sequence so you know it, and then I'll show you a video of me teaching it to first graders. So go ahead and stand up and push in your chair, and try to be able to see me for the moment, and if you need, yeah, I think this will be good. Let's see. So if you have your feet close together, notice you're not very strong. Try to push me over. Yeah, pretty easy. So if I have my feet about this far apart and I really ground myself, now try to push me over. You're pretty strong, but harder, right? Yeah. So that's what we want. We want them deeply rooted down to the ground. So just eyeball it, put your feet this much apart. Have your hips right over feet, shoulders right over hips, imaginary string pulling you up to the ceiling, hands at your heart. As you breathe in, stretch your arms all the way up to the ceiling. Have your upper arms up against your ears. Stretch, stretch, stretch. And then imagine a breeze blows you to one side. Feel a nice deep stretch, and then bring yourself back up to the middle. And a breeze blows you to the other side. And back up to the middle and towards the back of the room. And as you exhale, bring your hands down to your chair or to your desk. And bring your right leg back into a lunge. Feeling strong, lift up your arms for warrior 1 and warrior 2. And cartwheel back to your chair. Bring your left leg back into a lunge. Feel that nice deep stretch, so if you're doing softball or football, you're going to be able to run around those places. Warrior 1, warrior 2, and come back to your chair and sit in chair pose. And this is where I'll, what's 3 times 2?
6.
Count with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hands to your heart. Star. Bring your hands behind you for 5 pointed star, either like this, if you can, or like that, whatever feels good. Not to pain, just a deep stretch. Regular star, side angle, and other side. And then bring yourself back up to your strong mountain pose, and we're going to do it 2 more times. Breathing in. Exhale. Right leg back. 1 and 2. And cartwheel back. Left leg. 1, 2, and back. Chair pose. Let's see, 4 times 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hands at heart. Star. 5-pointed star. Regular star. Side angle. Another side. And back to your strong mountain. Last time with no talking. I won't talk either. Just breathe. And just notice as you come back to your strong mountain pose, maybe you feel more open in your shoulders, maybe a little bit more focused, more relaxed. And it took very little time, right? And you know, as we're doing the same thing together, we're connecting with each other. At this point, then I would have kids rest their head and close their eyes. And I have these little relaxation cards, and if they're doing a good job, I'll have them pick one of the cards and read it. Something like, imagine being on a large warm rock on the top of a mountain and just, you know, get that relaxed. So something like that. Go ahead and have a seat. Any feedback on how that felt to do that? You feel good? It's nice to move. And notice throughout the rest of our time together, we only have half an hour, if you feel a little bit better, just like you have a little bit more focus. And it took really very little time for us to do that. So this is me teaching the same thing I taught to you for first graders. It's not perfect. And you can see me teaching and the kids are goofing off, but the point of me doing this is to build up their resiliency. They got better at it the longer they got to it. And after I leave as a school counselor, the teacher has a window that they have more time to teach a lesson. So with a focused class, because they're all relaxed and moved around and stuff. So here it is. Oops, no, just kidding.
Exhale. Right leg back. 1. Back to your chair. Left leg back. 1, 2. Back to your chair and chair pose. What's 3 plus 3? 6. Count with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. First graders getting stronger. And behind you, regular star, sunflower.
Still a real school, bells and everything.
Back to your strong mountain. Last time I won't talk, and this is your challenge. No talking for you. Very good.
How many people have heard of tapping or emotional freedom technique? Okay, very cool. So there's a lot more resources now than there used to be. It's based on Chinese medicine, acupressure, acupuncture points. So it's tapping, actual tapping on different points within their face, and there's a few parts of your body. There's a definite protocol, and I found it so helpful as a school counselor. I would have kids come to me stuck in a traumatic memory. They were saying things like, Mrs. Anana, I have to tell you this thing, and it was happened like a year ago, and they were there, like, with their, the CPS had came, and they were told by their mom to hide, and they weren't ready for third grade. They were still there. So as we talked about their memory and tapped along, very quickly, that traumatic memory just kind of let go a bit, and to the point where they were like, I'm ready to go back to class, which is where I want them to be, not hanging out with me, which I love, but it's not where they are learning. So I felt so strongly that this was a good technique that I wanted teachers and counselors to feel comfortable teaching this. It's not so woo-woo or weird. So I put together a book that has a real live person, and it guides you through the steps of what to do, like how do you feel, how much of this do you feel. It's a SUD scale. So you feel sad, how sad do you feel on a scale of 0 to 10? And then it goes through the setup. The setup begins at the karate chop spot. So if you can imagine down from your pinky at the middle of your palm, you take 2 fingers and you start there. So if we could just practice just a little bit and just feel it for yourself and notice something that you're feeling that you'd prefer not to feel. Like, so how you set it up is, even though I feel this way, I know I'm a good person. Even though I have this big feeling, I like myself. Even though I wish I felt a different way, I know and I love myself and I'm a good person. Then you go up to the top of the eyebrow and you start tapping there, and you could vent, like, oh, I can't believe I had to go to this class. This is my day of summer. What am I doing here? But I'm listening to this interesting things, and I get to be with my colleagues. And these things are helping to help me so that I can feel good throughout the school year. Then, like, you have a bow tie, and you think kind things. And then underneath your armpit, I deeply, top of the head, and you can kind of go back and forth, and completely love myself. And you just kind of give yourself a nice, like you do this for someone else. So just notice what that did for you, and this is how I teach it to kids.
So the hands on your help me remember the tapping song. You can remember that even. So you start at the top of your eyebrow and you think, I am free. I'll sing it first and you sing it. I am free. I am free. Be me. Be me. I am a happy child. I am a happy child. I am free. I am free. Be me. Be me. I am a happy child. I am a happy child. Determined I deeply and completely and yourself close. Slow down. Take a big deep breath.
And again, 550 kids, we're doing it together.
Everyone's eyes on my special friends who are great to show us what tapping is about. And I'll put this down for just a moment. So you're going to start with taking your hand and taking, and you're going to start off by tapping at the karate chop spot, right down your pinky finger. And you're going to tap here and you're going to think, even though I made a mistake, I'm a good kid. Even though that was a hard lesson, I'm a great kid and I like myself. Even though maybe I didn't do the right thing, I am a great kid and I love myself. Then go up to the top of your eyebrow, and we could even think about the song that most of us learning how to tap, and think, I am free, and you can say it with me if you want to, I am free, be me, I'm a happy child. Underneath your nose, I am free, at your chin, be me, I am a happy child. Underneath your armpit, I deeply, top of your head, and completely love myself. Take a deep breath, and remembering that you can do this when you need to feel more calm. If your teachers see you doing that, they'll know that you are taking good care of yourself. Maybe them do it because it helps adults too.
So there's a lot more resources than there used to be. The Tapping Solution, published through Hay House, has several books that some of them address teenage girls, some are for different populations, and they've done a lot of work with Sandy Hook Elementary. And there's one specific for teachers. So there's a ton of resources online, on YouTube, books. The tappingsolution.com has a lot on it. Any questions about tapping that you have for me?
Would you recommend just that it has to be in certain places, or just because like I had heard of tapping and kind of was curious about it? And my middle daughter, it seemed to help some anxiety that she was experiencing, and when I was helping her breathe through and just try to practice some slow breathing, but she found tapping along the side of her, I had her tap along her leg, just so she could kind of get herself grounded. We got to feel like she was in tune with where she was, and she was okay to be there.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like an amusement type of anxiety of things. Yeah. Like, I can't remember if there was a ride that had upset, something like that, but I didn't know.
Yeah.
That's what we did when we were there, was just along there, and it seemed to ground her, but I didn't know if it was certain specific spots in the body that you really want to make sure you hit, I guess, in that area of tapping?
Yeah, and it's a certain protocol. However, there's a lot of flexibility, especially for little ones. There's like a 3-inch window, so you could pretty much tap anywhere and it's going to hit it. And for the older kids who don't want to do that in public, just doing this one gets both sides of their hands, and they could do it underneath their desk and probably no one would know it. I had my daughter do it before a driving test, her driver's license test. But yeah, when I talk to kids about when they use tapping, a lot of them say before sporting events, before their swim meets. And it makes me wonder that I'm curious about what it is about games and stuff that creates so much anxiety. Like, I wonder, I mean, it's a good, healthy, risk that they're taking, but I wonder if their parents knew how much anxiety they get from that, if they would do so much of it. But I do add the sports component that if you saw the last Olympics, you saw people doing the tapping sequence before they started a race, and when Olympians are using it, it just like kind of helps give it some credence. And you made me think, there's also a group protocol for EMDR that's called Butterfly Hug or Dragon Wings. So if kids are feeling anxiety, they can do this back and forth. This is bilateral stimulation, so it helps your brain to process. So, and if you're, little ones will do whatever, and if they're your bigger kids, they might want to do dragon wings, because that seems a little cooler. But you could also, do this and no one would know what you're doing, and it's still offering bilateral stimulation. Yeah. Cool. So that's my book. Mindfulness. So there's lots of ways to get into mindfulness. One way is mindful eating, so having a snack where you're using all your senses as you slowly fuel your body, so having that mind-body connection. And eat as if you've never experienced this food before. Appreciate where your food comes from and connect to body sensations of being satiated. I don't know if it's what it's like in this school, but I just see kids going, when's recess? Just kind of gobbling it, not really connecting to whether they're hungry or not. So one little kid book that I really appreciate is No Ordinary Apple. It's a book about eating mindfully. And even if you don't have little ones, it just helps to guide you in how to teach mindful eating, where you start by looking at it and you think it's an apple, it's red. But if you really look closely, you might notice other colors. If you touch it really slowly, what do you notice? Maybe some cool parts. How do you listen to your food? There might be a variety of ways, like you could throw the apple up in the air and catch it, and it makes that thwop sound. Smelling it, and as you chew it, don't swallow it, but allow it to go inside all parts of your mouth, so different parts of your tongue. So it becomes like a science lesson too. And then you close your eyes as you're swallowing it, and you just might notice things that you've never noticed before. And by slowing down when eating and being curious about how it looks, feels, sounds, and smells and tastes, you make it extraordinary. And you can do this with any food. So you think of all the food you could do that with, jelly beans and ice cream, and some things that you don't necessarily like one single pea or a little bit of broccoli. And then you can tie it to where the food comes from. So in Washington State, there's big apple orchards that are in the eastern Washington. So you think about all the work that people have to do to get the orchards ready, and then the little flower that grows in the springtime, and then all summer long, all the irrigation, and then someone has to pick it, put it in a box goes onto a semi-truck goes across the state or the country. Someone has to unpack, stack it nice kind way in the grocery store, and someone has to pay for it. So knowing all the people it took to get the food that's in front of you gives you a sense of appreciation. And with bigger kids, I like to give them a Hershey's Kiss. So where Hershey's Kisses made? Hershey, Pennsylvania. So you think about how far away that is. And if I've seen one video about how candy is made, I'll watch 100 in a row. Like, I just love that, all those machines, all that engineering that had to happen. And how do they get the little, paper to fly off of each Hershey's Kiss? How does that happen? I want to know. But it does, and then it's in a bag, and then bag is in the box is in the truck goes everywhere. And so appreciating that this little Hershey's Kiss has taken quite a journey, and then you appreciate it a little bit more. All right. Mindful movement. You could even, let's stand up just for a little bit. And a little mindful walking helps to embody the learning, and it connects students to their bodies, and so that body-mind connection. So this looks like Walking Dead. It's very funny. So you notice your feet on the floor, and if you're standing, then are you equal amount of weight on both hips, both feet? Just notice that. And then adjust it so that you're putting the weight into one hip, and then you kind of slide your other foot like halfway, so your instep and your toes are in line. And then you put the weight onto that leg, and you slide the other foot. And then you just keep doing that, and you do look like the Walking Dead. It's very funny. But this little movement can really, if you teach a lesson and then have them do this for just a little bit, it takes just a little time, put a nice relaxing music on, and just have them move around just a little bit. And It looks hilarious. I should take a video. You are being videotaped right now, so there we go. And if you ever go to a mindfulness retreat, this is what they'll have you do. You'll do like 45 minutes of sitting meditation, and then they'll have you walk around just like that to help embody the learning that you did with meditation. So if you have a chance to do that, please do. Go ahead and make your way back to your seat. And through all these strategies, through everything that we've done, keep on going, you're fine. We've developed more safety, connection, and trust. That's what Frank was telling us to begin with, what we needed to provide in our classrooms. You improve emotional and behavioral self-regulation, and you increase their feelings of competence in their academic skills, their social skills, and their personal agency, so that they can ask for what they need. Because we don't often know if they're shut down, if their brain is being hijacked. So what I'd like to do now is to do a little mindfulness activity with you. So feeling your feet on the floor and noticing where you're sitting. Oftentimes when we're stressed out, we squeeze our butt. And I'd like you to see if you can not to unclench. Just kind of relax your sitting bones into your chair. And lift up and in the pit of your abdomen. Bring your shoulders back and down from your ears. And we're going to do a little neck stretch. So take your right hand and put it up towards your left shoulder blade. And then look towards your left-hand side. With your left hand, gently guide your nose down towards your armpit until you connect with this muscle that is at the side of your neck, this muscle that tends to store our tension and causes tension headaches. So just notice how it's feeling, about 20 days out of school, if it's feeling pretty good or if it's still a little tight. Don't go to the point of pain, just guide yourself. If you can go a little bit deeper, go for it. If not, just be with the stretch. For one more breath. And then gently release, letting go of that tension. And then other side, the left hand up towards right shoulder blade, looking towards the right hand side with the right hand. Gently guide your nose down towards your armpit. Notice the difference on this side, more tight, more open. Just notice without judgment. Guide yourself a little bit deeper into the pose. One more breath. And then gently relax. Open up your shoulders. Let some shoulder shrugs. Notice how that feels. And then with your hands, clasp the back of your head and use your thumbs at the top of that muscle, at the base of your skull. Just massage it a bit. And then use 3 fingers along the sides of your neck to massage. Being curious if you notice any tight spots, any knots in that along your neck, then dig in deeper. But go until you reach your shoulder blade, then give your shoulders a nice rub. From here, dig into your scalp and just kind of dig in, finding if there's any sore places that you didn't even know existed, and dig in deeper if you find any. But your scalp is rich with acupressure and acupuncture points. Just be curious. The top of your head is a place where the sympathetic nervous system kind of joins. And if it's kind of sore, that's just information. Then line your eyebrow with your fingers and your thumb at your temple. Gently massage. And this helps your eyes, relieves the worry from your forehead. Gentle massage where the jaws meet. We, as educators, tend to store lots of tension in our jaw. Just notice how they're doing today. A gentle massage around the outer rim of the ear, which is also rich with acupressure, acupuncture points, where the lobe and your face meet is the adrenal glands, which tend to get fatigued with lots of stress. Just let your body be your best teacher. And then from here, a gentle effleurage, bringing any toxins we've kicked up, bring them down to your glands, so as you drink lots of purified water in the next 24 hours, they're gently released. And just notice from the top of your head throughout your shoulders, you have this tingly feeling. Now the invitation, if you would like, is to gently close your eyes. It's always an invitation, and you have the power to choose. And as we do this work together, we're creating a container of safety. You're not alone. As you stay in this tingly feeling within your neck, your head, notice if you can feel this aliveness spread down your back, as if you were standing in a hot shower. Brows be smooth. Offer yourself a slight smile. Softening, loosening through your shoulders. Hands resting in an easy, relaxed way. Feeling the aliveness from inside out. Sense an openness to your chest. And in the next breath, feel an openness in your belly. Feeling the ground underneath you. With every exhale, feel the ground beneath you. Here she is catching you. Feel your body relaxed and connected to the ground. Notice any tension, any holding. And with each exhale, see if you can pour your awareness into the ground. Breathing down into the ground. See if you can go 10 feet into the ground, way beneath you. Extend roots that bring you strength and nourishment from the ground into your feet and up through your spine. Feeling up to the clouds, the air, the stars above you. And sit with this sense of open wideness, this interconnectedness. Sense the connection to the aliveness to a person who's close to you. Sense the connection to all the people in this room. Forming a community, like a formation of geese flying together in a beautiful V, so we can work together on this. We are not alone in our work. Very gently return. Gently come back. Thank you for your presence. And the weather decided to show up just as we were deep. So this is an Iowa thunderstorm. I'm pretty excited. Not yet. Okay. Okay.
This is gentle.
This is gentle.
Okay. So any questions for me? How do you feel? Yeah. Do you see aspects of this work that you could incorporate into your practice? My principal has been having me bring the singing bowl in so that it's a break between our schoolwork and professional development. It's like a clear, like, okay, now we're doing this for us. Before staff meetings, we do a little mindfulness. Everyone takes a turn leading it. Well, I have my card here. If you want to take pictures of the breathing cards, I'm going to give a copy to Kristen when I see her again. Other than that, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks, Pete.